trembling 13-year-old schoolgirl stands frozen under the blinding lights of a Hollywood stage, seemingly paralyzed by fear, only to unleash a primal, earth-shattering rock scream that would completely fracture the internet. It is a moment permanently etched into modern pop culture history, the day Courtney completely redefined what a reality television audition could be. To the millions watching at home, it felt like witnessing a lightning strike in real time. A young girl from a quiet village in County Durham, England, stepped onto the world's biggest stage in 2018 and channeled the raw, unhinged energy of Joplin and Tina Turner, leaving seasoned industry executives completely speechless. The response was immediate and unprecedented. Was visibly stunned, enthusiastically smashed his golden buzzer, and within 48 hours, the digital footage of her performance had racked up hundreds of millions of views across the globe. Mainstream media outlets instantly heralded her as the definitive future of rock and roll, predicting a meteoric rise that would dominate the global charts for a decade to come. The narrative was perfect, the momentum was unstoppable, and the world braced itself for the arrival of a generational megastar. Yet almost as quickly as the explosive hype exploded across social media feeds, a strange and unexpected silence began to settle over her career. The frantic media coverage cooled, the projected stadium tour never materialized, and a massive global audience was left wondering how a vocal powerhouse of that magnitude could seemingly vanish into thin air just as her journey was supposed to begin. But as our investigation reveals, the sensational story presented on television screens was only the polished surface of a far more complex reality. What the television networks conveniently hid from the public was that this supposedly untrained, accidental prodigy had been quietly operating deep within the entertainment industry long before her viral American debut. The mainstream narrative heavily relied on the captivating idea of a completely raw, undiscovered talent who had simply wandered into an audition room by chance. However, investigative digging reveals a much more calculated and dedicated journey to the spotlight. Long before she ever set foot on an American stage, she was undergoing rigorous vocal preparation and actively seeking out major competitive platforms. In fact, just 12 months prior to her historic American performance, she had competed extensively on The Voice Kids UK, fighting her way all the way to the final rounds under the direct mentorship of global pop star Danny Jones. This crucial chapter of her early career was downplayed by producers to maximize the theatrical shock value of her American appearance. The extreme nervousness and quiet demeanor she displayed before the music started wasn't entirely an act, but it served as the perfect, highly engineered dramatic contrast for a television format designed to manufacture viral gold. She was already a seasoned competitor who understood the mechanics of a massive stage, having spent years analyzing the performance styles of classic soul and rock legends. This secret backstory doesn't diminish her immense talent, but it exposes the calculated mechanics of modern reality television, where authentic human stories are carefully sculpted into highly profitable commercial products. And as the cameras stopped rolling, that very same corporate machinery was preparing to lock her into a contractual agreement that would alter her life forever. Behind the closed doors of Hollywood's executive suites, the celebratory confetti from the finale had barely hit the floor before the young prodigy was funneled directly into a highly restrictive corporate contract. Winning over global audiences had secured her an immense platform, but that fame came with severe unspoken strings attached that the public never saw. Our reporting shows she was swiftly signed to a joint record deal involving powerhouse label Music, alongside Records. On paper, and in the glossy industry press releases distributed to journalists, this was portrayed as the ultimate dream scenario for an aspiring artist. In reality, entering the machinery of a major global label can quickly turn into a creative prison for an authentic performer, especially one who refuses to conform to standard commercial molds. Music industry insiders reveal that intense pressure was immediately applied to the teenager to completely abandon her raw, gritty rock and soul roots. Executives wanted a safe, heavily synthesized pop product that could easily fit onto modern top 40 radio playlists. They attempted to micromanage her wardrobe, her stage presence, and most importantly, her unique vocal identity. Instead of recording the blistering, guitar-heavy blues music she loved, she was pushed toward highly polished, overproduced tracks that stripped away everything that made her special in the first place. This intense behind-the-scenes tug-of-war created massive friction between a young, fiercely independent artist fighting for her creative sanity and a corporate boardroom focused entirely on profit margins. The tension was building to an inevitable breaking point, setting the stage for a sudden disappearance that shocked her. Almost overnight, the global hype machine ground to a devastating and total halt, prompting frantic internet rumors that the young star's career had completely collapsed before it ever truly started. For months on end, there were no major media appearances, no high-profile single releases, and no updates regarding a debut studio album. To the casual observer, It appeared as though she had been completely discarded by the industry, joining a long list of forgotten reality television contestants who failed to maintain their initial momentum. Speculation ran wild across online forums, with some falsely claiming she had lost her voice entirely, while others hypothesized that severe legal battles were taking place out of public view. Our investigation confirms that the truth was rooted in a grueling phase of corporate limbo. Caught in a classic industry stalemate, she chose to stay quiet rather than release music she despised. She refused to become a manufactured pop puppet, which led to a quiet but definitive sidelining by label executives who simply stopped funding her projects. This dark phase of silence was a period of intense personal frustration, as she was legally prohibited from releasing music independently due to her existing contract, yet completely ignored by the label holding her rights. It is a cautionary tale that plays out repeatedly in the entertainment world. A young talent locked in a vault, waiting out the grueling clock of a corporate contract while the rest of the world moves on to the next viral trend. But while the industry assumed she was defeated, she was quietly planning a radical reinvention. Breaking free from her corporate chains required walking completely away from the bright lights of Hollywood and retreating into the underground music scene to rebuild her sound from scratch. When her major label obligations finally concluded, she did not look for another massive corporate savior. Instead, she made the bold and incredibly risky decision to pursue complete, uncompromising creative independence. Our journalistic tracking shows she quietly relocated her entire creative operation far away from the pop factories of London and Los Angeles, landing instead in Minneapolis to partner with seasoned independent rock producer Bo. Bo, famous for his authentic work with gritty, soul-infused artists, provided the exact safe haven she needed to heal from her industry trauma. Operating entirely outside the polished, artificial confines of mainstream studio culture, she spent several years in intense isolation, learning the intricate art of songwriting and taking total control over her musical identity. She traded the synthetic backing tracks and programmed drums of her past for real instruments, blistering live guitar riffs, and heavy, old-school analog production. This was a deliberate, grassroots effort to strip away the manufactured television persona and replace it with something undeniable. She was no longer just a kid performing covers of old songs. She was transforming into a legitimate, self-contained rock technician, funding her own sessions and booking small club gigs under the radar to prove she could command a room without a network television apparatus backing her up. All of that grueling, independent sacrifice has officially culminated in a massive creative payoff that has completely mainstream music critics. We can report that her highly anticipated, entirely self-funded independent debut album, titled Little Miss Jagged, has launched to overwhelming critical acclaim, completely reshaping how the industry views her talent. The record completely defies easy categorization, aggressively blending the raw energy of modern pop punk with the sophisticated, fierce vocal delivery of classic rhythm and blues. It is the exact album she fought to make for nearly a decade, and the music world is paying close attention. Taking her resurgence to an even higher level, she recently shocked the industry by dropping a powerhouse collaborative single titled You Only Love Me When I Lie. The track features none other than legendary rock icon Little Steven, a member of E Street Band, who publicly praised her uncompromised vocal power and authentic rock spirit. This high-profile endorsement from rock royalty has effectively silenced any remaining skeptics who viewed her as a temporary reality show novelty. Streaming numbers are surging organically without the help of major label playlist manipulation, and vinyl pressings of her album are selling out across international indie music stores. At 21 years old, she has successfully bypassed the traditional gatekeepers who tried to bury her career, proving that authentic talent and relentless perseverance can completely disrupt the established corporate music hierarchy. Looking closely at the landscape of the music industry today, it is clear that the shy, trembling child from the 2018 auditions has been entirely replaced by an unstoppable, self-governing rock powerhouse. As we conclude this investigative report, Courtney stands as a triumphant example of survival in an entertainment ecosystem that routinely chews up and discards young performers. She is currently commanding stages across major European venues, pulling in massive, dedicated crowds on her own terms without needing to compromise an ounce of her artistic integrity. Her dramatic journey from a manufactured viral sensation to a fiercely independent artist offers a profound, cautionary lesson for the digital age. It exposes the deep, often toxic divide between the fleeting artificial fame generated by reality television algorithms and the slow, painful work required to build a lasting artistic legacy. She chose the harder, darker path, risking total obscurity to protect the authenticity of her voice, and that gamble has paid off spectacularly. The world initially tuned in to watch a novelty act, but they are staying to witness the rise of a genuine rock legend. As her music continues to echo across independent airwaves, one thing is absolutely certain. She didn't just survive the cutthroat machinery of modern show business, she completely rewrote the rules of the game.